Imagine this. The best pasta sauce you have ever tasted sits abandoned on a plate. Wasted sauce. That is a tragedy. If only you had used Barilla al Bronzo pasta. Its bronze-cut texture holds your sauce and scoops up every last drop. The Italians call that scarpetta. Capture sauce the Italian way. Barilla al Bronzo. Click or tap the banner to find out more.
Welcome to Board Gamers Anonymous, the podcast where everyone is welcome to the table, but of course, no one knows whose turn it is. This is Chris.
Hey, and this is Anthony.
And this is episode 532, Board Game Club, Terraforming Mars. We'd like to thank all our Patreon backers for helping us unlock a brand new episode. Hey, folks, we are back, and we are again so glad to have you join us here this week. Anthony, this is a special week, and in fact, it's a book club, my friend. A very fancy little book club that we have this week.
Yes, we're doing our first Board Game Club meetup about one of the most prolific games in which no one knows whose turn it is. Terraforming Mars.
That happens a lot in that game.
So freaking much. Because you can go twice on your turn.
Yes.
Did you go twice? Oh, no, I'm done. Okay, then you have to say you're done because you only did one thing.
And
I don't know that. How do I know you're done?
You could also take a turn and then skip your second turn and then later come back and play two more turns.
Right. You have to tell people when you're done. Never happens. I always end up being that annoying guy at the table. Is like, you done? It's your turn? You're good, right? Okay, it's your turn now.
I mean...
Yeah, no, you. It's your turn.
I mean,
my turn?
To be fair, some of the problem is with the game itself, but because you could just be on your own moving little cubes on your blue cards. So that's a thing that also happens too.
Yeah, someone's just fiddling with their thing, and you're like, are you taking your turn or just like organizing your stuff?
Yeah. Because if you're not terraforming, man, I don't want you at my table. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, get out of here with that point engine nonsense. Play the game.
Play the game like it was meant to be played.
Yes. Less than 3 hours, please.
Ideally, to say the least.
Oh, man. Oh, we'll get into it.
That's our huge, epic feature review where we'll be talking about everything Terraforming Mars. This is the definitive episode about Terraforming Mars. I think after this, Anthony, we don't talk about Terraforming Mars ever again, right? That was the agreement?
Yeah. Yeah, no, we're gonna launch it into space.
It's terraforming.
We're preemptively retiring it from the show.
We're sending it to Mars, right?
Yeah. No one will be able to touch it or mess with it for 8 generations, about 130 years.
So much terraforming in this episode that the episode itself will terraform Mars.
Yep.
See? I did it.
But transigent properties of terraforming.
That's right.
Something.
It's such an epic episode that it's going to do it all by itself. So we have a lot of that fun stuff to talk about later in the episode, so hang on to that. But before we get into that, Anthony, there's been a lot of stuff happening out in the world, especially for tabletop gaming, and especially
just for tabletop gaming, nothing else.
I mean, I don't know what else there would be happening.
Everything else is fine. don't even look at the news because it's fine. Don't worry about it.
It's Why did you say that?
Because everybody was thinking it when you said that.
Oh no.
So I had to vocalize.
I am joining this podcast episode on its journey to Mars, and that's,
Yeah. Oh man.
Good luck.
Unfortunately, the only person who could get us there is not somebody you want to spend 6 months in a rocket.
No. I hear that's quite bad for many reasons. Yeah. So again, as always, and sadly, just kind of going back to the smaller issues of life, like tabletop companies suffering from the ongoing tariffs and economic pricing and shipping and everything else that's happening currently in the day and age that's affecting this hobby that we know and love so greatly. So, a couple of the little updates on this. Obviously, Terraforming Mars is, again, the big game of all games, but there are a lot of other tabletop games out there. In fact, Simon is selling off Zombicide.
Yeah, that's a big one because they announced 2-3 weeks ago they were selling off like
The Lang
Fear
games.
Rising. Yeah, like the big games, but things that were not like huge long term.
Yeah.
Like they sell them, but it's not like the main thing.
Mhm.
Zombicide is like the main thing. They make a lot of money off of that.
I think when we talked about it last time, we were like, oh, they're still okay because they have Zombicide.
Yeah.
Little did we know that that was about to go. So, Zombicide go bye-bye. Picked up by Asmodee, I believe.
Yep. Boo.
I
don't know.
It's a thing.
It's whatever. It's just, yeah, it's not going to be any cheaper or anything. We're never going to get anything interesting out of that because Asmodee doesn't. I mean, they'll give us our annual installment of like Zombicide Star Wars or something, but
Yeah. You might see more IPs attached to Zombicide, but it's not going to be the bloody, gory mess that Zeman was well known for with its miniatures. So,
yeah.
We'll see. Asmodee is doing a little bit of their own rebranding with their new logo and some other upcoming things. So, we'll see. It's a big move for them, and obviously a big move for Simon, and we'll see if they survive. There's not much more that they have left to be able to hold on to stay afloat.
Yeah, it does make you wonder, like, are they doing all this so they can fulfill all the stuff that's outstanding? Or are they just going to cave anyways and take the money and run? Are they paying off debts and they won't have any money either way?
Yeah, and they were in what Asian country stock market, if I remember correctly? Was it the Hong Kong stock market, or was it another?
It might be
South
Hong
Asian?
Kong. Yeah. It's somewhere over there.
Yeah, so they're out there. They're way out there. On top of which, Fantasy Flight released a statement saying that they're going to be raising the prices of all games by 15% due to the ongoing tariff issues. So,
Yeah,
it's a thing.
Yeah, I mean, not remotely surprising. Of course
No.
they are, but it's the first domino to fall. They're all going to do it.
Mhm.
They have to do it. If there's uncertainty there, they have to price in the uncertainty, and this is what happens. This is why it's stupid. They're like, oh, there are no tariffs right now. I'm like, they could be back in 4 weeks. You don't know.
Yes.
Literally, that's the point. They don't want anybody to know. So,
Yeah, I've been
Yeah,
hearing
it's not
from a lot of game stores their announcements of raising prices on their own, separate.
Yeah.
So there's far above the MSRP. Even a lot of the online game stores as well have been raising prices.
right, because they're paying more in wholesale, they're paying more in shipping. They expect they'll sell less games, and I have to price higher. Volume's gonna be lower. It's all connected. It's crazy. Who knew the economy was complicated?
You mean you just can't do a thing and expect everything to work out okay?
Yeah, just prod one thing with a stick, and then everybody's like, "Oh, good idea." Don't get me started, man. Don't get me started.
You said there was nothing else going on there in the world.
We're not. We're just talking about board games.
This is what I'm
Don't get me
saying.
Yeah. It's all good.
Keep it cardboard, kid. Keep it cardboard.
Yep.
So we'll have a lot more fun about talking about that in the near future as things go up and down, left and
So
right.
much fun.
Yeah. We talked, a little bit on a side tangent. Everyone has been talking way back since Kickstarter started to run campaigns for tabletop games. We all talked about, will the bubble burst? Will there be an event, a game, a company that just will sink crowdfunding? This might be the thing. This could be the thing.
If Simon goes belly up before they fulfill those 12 campaigns, I don't know how you regain the trust. That's millions of dollars people will lose. And nobody's getting it back. You can all yell about lawsuits or whatever, but like, it's in the fine print.
Sure.
You're investing, you're not pre-ordering.
Crazy.
Yeah. And honestly, the campaigns that are most likely to get fulfilled are the ones where you were pre-ordering, and some of them are labeled as such.
Mm-hmm.
So, but some of them are not.
Oh no! Our precious little games.
I know. Give me my plastic so I can put it on a shelf and never touch it again.
The good old days.
Yeah, the good old days.
Good old days at that point.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, enough of those of the sadness that is the world and how it affects our tabletop hobby. There's always hope. Gamma, the Game Manufacturers Association, went up to Washington, United States, to lobby to get the tariffs down to 0 for tabletop games. As of yet, no response from Washington.
What?
We're hopeful. It could happen.
I'm sorry, I shouldn't laugh. It's good. You're doing something.
They are doing
it's good
something.
you're doing something.
Yes.
Just because no one expects it to work doesn't mean you shouldn't do it.
No, and I'm proud that they did something. I'm proud that they went to DC. I'm proud that they showed their faces. I think it matters. Again, tabletop gaming's a big industry, and we would have went if we were asked. I don't know.
Yeah, I would go.
I would have
That'd
gone.
be fun.
I've gone lobbying.
Yeah.
I've done the lobbying thing.
Yeah.
So
I think it's important because it's the dumb thing about all of this is it will never in any way benefit small businesses at all. It can't. Like it's not how the system works. These are things that can never be manufactured here.
Mm-hmm.
And small businesses are just paying higher prices. They're just going to close.
Yes.
So any one industry that is comprised entirely of small businesses should be lobbying.
Yes.
Right. And the board game industry is that. There's like 2 big companies and then thousands of small companies. And those small companies really should get say something. And they are, which is great.
Yes. And obviously, we've been in the industry for quite some time, and we've seen the incredible value and benefits. Again, we're preaching to the choir, but in fact, sometimes you do need to preach to the choir to get to sing. And I think people need to let their representatives know, or let their neighbors or their friends or family know, that the hobby / industry that we're all involved with, intimately. It's a small industry. It's a small hobby, but it's also very meaningful. And it's meaningful for us. It's meaningful for so many people out there in the world. And we've preached about the tremendous benefit of tabletop gaming in every different aspect of life, especially on board game academics. And in fact, we're going to have a conference coming up on October 4th and 5th at the Strong Museum of Play, because we really want to, drive home that point. Not just us, but so many different wonderful people that have used tabletop gaming in their classrooms, in their professional practices, with their kids, with their community members, in their attempts to help rehabilitate people in need. I mean, tabletop gaming does a lot of wonderful things. Again, I know I don't have to convince you of that. You're listening to a podcast about it specifically. But again, we do need to let people know and not kind of just keep that hobby in a closet. Please let people know. It's important. It has value.
Yeah. Yeah.
So again, if you'd like to know more about all the great thing that tabletop gaming does, boardgameacademics.com has a tremendous number of valuable resources, including a lot of excellent academic essays and journal articles about people doing great things with tabletop gaming. So you can learn a lot about what you can do with tabletop gaming. And again, we would love for you to come in person and meet everybody that's doing great stuff so that you can learn more about it, share your ideas, and maybe become an academic along with the rest of us.
Yeah.
All right, Anthony. So that's what's going on with us, the state of BGA, all the fun stuff out there in the world. Let's get into our roll for preview.
Roll.
So, Anthony, I sent you this link because I thought this was interesting, hilarious, and insane all at the same time. There is a game that's coming up. It's launching soon from Bezier Games, probably best known for their werewolf games, and Ted Alspach, their CEO and master design maker. The game makers manufacture the greatest board games of all time. So I saw this and I was like, oh, this must be a book. This must be a documentary. No, my friends, in fact, this is a board game about making board games.
Yes. We're doing it.
We are doing it.
Eating our own tail.
Can't get any more meta than that, folks. I'm just telling you. So,
nope.
The game is all about you hiring a staff to build an assembly line, invest in structures and manufacturing to gain and fulfill contracts on tabletop gaming and produce to the market a line of tabletop games. Now you're like, oh, that's cool, that's cute, that's a thing that, is kind of fun. Why would I necessarily be interested in this? Like, okay, I get the meta point of it. This game has, again, contract completion cards, right? Because you're making the board games. But you're not just making generic board games. In fact, they got the licenses of over 300 tabletop games that you love, like Seven Wonders Duel, Gloomhaven, Memoir 44, Obsession, all of those great games. They really went crazy to get all of the games out there. So Wingspan, Brass Birmingham, Anthony, a game called Terraforming Mars.
What?
I know. Arc Nova, Twilight Imperium 4, all that kind of fun stuff. So what's interesting about this game is it has a really high toy factor to it, because what you have in this game is this middle plastic rondelle piece. And what you're going to do, very similar to, I don't know if you play this game, Anthony, it's called Fromage, the cheese making game. Yeah.
Cheese.
So basically Fromage is this kind of interesting rondelle, but it's a rondelle that allows you to play pieces in certain spots. It's not a rondelle where you just take things. This game has a big black plastic rondelle where you turn like you would a forklift. And as you turn it, your little forklift player pieces, which are on this rondelle board, move around the board to different spots. As they move around, you have an opportunity to take different resources, cards, dice, a number of different things in order to play them to your particular board. A lot of multi-use cards, a lot of multi-use components. Just a generally very interesting kind of dynamic as, like, once you're on the board, when do you pull off? Kind of like Zolkin. And if you didn't get what you need, you have to go all the way back around. But again, the resources are multi-use, the cards are multi-use, so you could use a lot of different things with all of this put together. One of the most interesting things about this is that they actually took it to the next step. And for example, for Memoir 44, because that's a war game, if you complete and you create the game, it actually acts as a card that scores victory points based on battling your neighbors. So think Seven Wonders, where, like, you check to your left, you check to your right to see who has military. Well, if you make military games, there's going to be a scoring mechanism that's military based. If you're going to build like Gloomhaven, that's a co-op game. So you're going to score points based on co-op mechanisms with other players. If you build a game that is like a Euro game, then it's going to be built on set collection or something of that nature. So that's pretty cute. Production looks top notch. Everything is in prototype stage point right now. But again, this could make a crazy amount of money because, again, it has the pictures of all the games that you love. So again, kind of funny, interesting, something to definitely check out. It's not up yet, but it's launching soon on Kickstarter. No date given, but keep an eye on it. You could find it on Kickstarter, and you could follow from there.
That is an interesting thing that exists.
Yes.
I just wonder about the licensing.
I wonder how they got over 300 license. I mean, did they actually pay for those?
That's the thing. It's like some of the smaller companies would probably just be like, sure.
Yes.
Here you go. But like the bigger, like, you got Twilight Imperium, that's Asmodee.
Yeah.
They're not just giving that away. And that's an actual IP that has books and stuff built around it. Or like listed on one of the ones listed as Android Netrunner. Fantasy Flight doesn't even have the license to that anymore. It went back to, what did it go back to? Like Games Workshop? Like, nobody has the license to that thing. The Android license expired. So who owns that? Are they just using it and they're like, come after us? Who cares?
Well, I think they have the right idea. It has toy factor. Yeah. It has all these games that people are going to recognize. And I've listened to some early reviews of it. And it's not a very crunchy, dynamic mechanisms. And I don't think you would expect that from this.
No.
This is...
It doesn't look very interesting as a game.
No, it's like, you have a lot of cards that represent a lot of games. You need particular resources to be able to put them together to produce the games. And then there's
Right.
obviously some sort of satisfaction as far as like I built all the games that I love, or I built a lot of the games I love, or I built any of these games in particular. So
Right.
it seems like it will fare on the lighter side, but we'll know more about it when the campaign actually pops up. So
Cool.
yeah,
I'll keep an eye on it. I've bookmarked it. I don't know. I'm interested to see how this could work.
it's one of those things where it's unique. I mean, maybe there's something else that could be done with this too, because this could be a really interesting way to maybe not maybe not play the game so much, but maybe just those cards themselves to like introduce people with like, these are tabletop games. Like, look at all the flash cards I have here. Like, oh, these are war games, and these are Euro games, and these are party games and stuff like that. So it might have some sort of like a gift appeal to it. Like, this is something like a gamer might want. That's
Yeah. Just, I mean,
a novelty.
Half the games we own are for the novelty, so makes sense.
It's true. All right, well, that's everything for our roll for preview. Anthony, I'm not sure what could we possibly roll for our review this week.
Little game that you probably heard about.
What?
Called Terraforming Mars.
Wait a minute.
I was gonna tell a joke there, and I was like, none of these are funny. Let's just get to the point. Terraforming Mars.
Is this 2016 again?
It is. We went back in time. 9 years ago.
Oh, there's so many things to fix. Hurry.
I know. Oh my gosh. What a wonderful time when this game came out.
Little did we know.
Little did we know.
Oh, Chris. 2016. Stay where you are, man.
I know.
It only gets worse.
Back in the day when we were always like, oh, this year was kind of bad.
Not so much.
We didn't know.
We were young.
So young and stupid.
We needed the tabletop games.
We needed them, and we got them.
So, Anthony, Terraforming Mars from 2016, you may not know this, but you compete with rival CEOs to make Mars habitable and build your corporate empire, because capitalism.
Yeah, that's true. This game we love is about capitalism. So, yeah, it's good though. So Terraforming Mars came out, like you said, 2016.
Uh-huh.
It has had 6 expansions.
Yeah.
And 2 new versions, different mechanic styles, and an RPG, which hasn't shipped yet, but everybody backed it.
Does it have any promo cards, Anthony?
It has every single promo card you could possibly think of. If you search for expansions, there are 8 pages of expansions. 7.5 of those pages are promo cards. So too many promos.
Way too many promo cards.
And you know what? Most of them are bad.
And that was also back in the day when promo cards were actually a thing.
Yeah, that's true. It's not really a thing anymore. You get like, if you pre-order something, it comes with a promo. You're like, great.
Yeah. Remember we used to pay $5 for promo cards each?
Oh my god.
That was the thing we used to do.
Yeah, and then you find out there's 30 of them, and you're like, boo.
Or even worse, you find out that they were kind of broken.
Yeah.
It's like, this is a great
like,
card.
Cool, Penguins. Like, Penguins is a terrible card. Don't play that card.
Yeah, we're not playing with this card. I bought it, but we're not playing with it.
Yeah. Or that obnoxious card of like Stephen Bonacore smoking a cigar.
Yeah. Crazy.
But yeah, no, Terraforming Mars. And so when this thing came out back in the day, it hit like a lightning bolt. I remember doing the preview for Gen Con, because when it launched, and going through all the games like thoroughly, because it was 2016. We were in the thick of it, like really digging into all the games, going out there, trying them all, buying a lot of them, getting review copies, coming back home with them. And this is one that jumped out at me. I'd heard very little about it, because it was like a small print run niche thing from Stronghold Games, which honestly hadn't done anything really that big yet.
Yes.
And I was like, okay, that looks cool, but it's kind of ugly artwork. We all know the ugly artwork. We'll get to that. And it was like, but it was on my list, and I was like, okay, I want to try this game out. So I put it on the list for all the games to track down that day, and we got a little bit early, so we got a chance to like track them down. And Chris, you made it your mission to find this game.
Yes, I picked up 2 copies. Bonacore looked at me funny, and I was like, I will purchase this game at the exorbitant price of $70 each.
Right, which in 2016 was bananas.
It was bananas.
Yeah, it's normal now, but back then we were like, what? $70?
And our good friend Bonacore did not give us a discount, but
No, no.
he did look at us like, really? You want this game? You came for
Yeah,
this? This is the first game you came for. Well,
yeah,
yes, we did.
yeah. And they only had 200 copies
Yeah.
there. I remember because when I got back to Pittsburgh, everybody I knew was like, "You got Terraforming Mars? You got Terraforming Mars? You gonna bring Terraforming Mars? You gonna teach me Terraforming Mars?" And by like the end of the second or third week, I was like, "I don't really want to play this anymore."
Yeah, got played out for a bit
because I've played it like 30 times in a month. But yeah, no, it's Terraforming Mars, right? It's a game about building a tableau and competing with each other to get the most points, but at the same time working together to actually terraform the planet. Which that kind of push-pull mechanic is what makes the game so great, and also contributes to most of the game's problems. So it's kind of a bit of an issue when talking about the game. It's like, is this good or bad? And
the answer is yes.
We'll get into that. Yeah, exactly. We'll get into it in the future. Sorry. But that, like, immediately the game struck me. I was like, I love this game so much. I did a video, like a walkthrough, like how to play video. I think it was the first one on YouTube, which I still brag about for no reason. It wasn't not an amazing video because I hadn't done a lot of them, but it was on the Cool Stuff Inc. website.
There you go.
Page for a bit. Yeah. So it's got a few thousand views. And it just, I don't know, I've played it 175 times according to my phone. 80 of those are with other people. The other 95 are by myself. So one of the better solo modes in a Euro game, period, for a long time. There's some good ones now, but like, you just play the game, but you have to complete all the objectives in a certain amount of time. That's it.
Yeah.
It's a race, and then if you beat the race, then you go to points. And that's a great way to do it because it's not a high score challenge like so many of them were. And it's been fantastic. So we've both been playing this one for our feature that we're going to talk about in a little bit, where we asked all of you to write in with your experiences with the game. And we figured we would run down the game, all of its expansions, and then the kind of the spin-offs of the main game, and give our review in capsule. We've reviewed all of these on the podcast over the last 9 years. So there is a feature review or a roll for review for every single one of these over the last decade. You can go back and find them, but we'll give you the Cliff's Notes today. So I'll kick it off with Terraforming Mars. This game is a 9.5 for me on Board Game Geek. It's a strong buy. Has never really fallen off of that. I've had a couple dips where, again, like I got overexposed to the game. But it still remains like one of my favorite things to set up and play through by myself. There are several digital versions of it. A couple of them are okay. So you could kind of play through it that way as well. And with the right combination of expansions and updates and, house rules, it's a fantastic experience. It has its issues. It's a little choppy here and there. It can run long. It has way too many cards in the main deck. You do have to filter out some of the expansion content because it just doesn't play very well with all that other stuff in there. But at the end of the day, it just, I don't know, it makes me feel good to terraform that planet. And so it hasn't really dropped for me. It's still one of my top 20 games to this day. And yeah, I've kept it at a 9.5. It never quite made it to a 10 for me because it does have all those issues. But because I enjoy it so much, I rated it so highly. If you ask me like about the production or about the actual mechanics and what the holes are, I'm like, I don't know. It's one of those imperfect masterpieces for me. Like it's broken and ugly and kind of messy in a lot of ways, but it's perfect in how those things come together for my tastes.
Nice. Yeah, Terraforming Mars for me is still a buy. I rated a buy back then. It rates about an 8.0 for me as far as scoring is concerned. I love the tableau building. I love when you use the drafting mechanic. I love the actual building up or terraforming of the board. So, board itself is a picture of Mars with a lot of different landscape aspects to it that you have to kind of manage and work around. You have to build up oceans, you have to build up forests, you have to build cities, and there's a bunch of other cards that introduce a lot of other elements to the game, like really interesting one-off elements that will change different aspects of the game itself. And then the cards themselves are incredibly unique as far as like, here's a benefit, here's an ongoing benefit, here's a benefit that you activate, here is an event that even in fact sometimes will attack other players in the game. So while you're terraforming, and you do need to terraform because you need to bring that game to an end, whether it's oxygen, oceans, a whole bunch of different aspects, temperature, and things like that, you're also at the same time building up points on your tableau based on a number of cards that you're able to put into play. But as always, you can only put those cards into play if you can afford them. Plus, do you have the opportunity to actually put them to play? Because you can only put these cards into play, for the most part, if you meet the certain conditions of the card in reflection of the terraforming rating, right? Like, is there enough oxygen? Is there enough temperature? So forth and so on. So I very much have enjoyed this game. I've played it a lot. Some of the detractions to the game obviously are really much based on the first edition of this game, with the very flat boards, very cheap player boards where things would get knocked, and that would be a really bad day for you because you are using little plastic cubes on a very shiny piece of paper to kind
It was terrible. I keep forgetting that's what it used to be.
yeah, to kind of track everything. So that was always a real issue. Obviously, early on, before I would say the vast majority of the planet kind of eroded the rules a little bit, you didn't automatically, each round kind of like upgrade one of the terraforming areas. So a lot of times when you did play the game, players would just play their tableau, again, perfectly legal to do, and would just build individual points. So if you're terraforming the planet or doing other things, not only are you not going to score as many points, but the game will go on for hours.
Yeah, the world government rule in the Venus expansion. Which once it was there, you're like, well, there's no reason not to do this
100%.
in every version of the game.
Yeah. And then finally, as Anthony was saying, the production with the artwork. The artwork was kind of a big issue considering the price at the time, as Anthony was mentioning, because 9 times out of 10, if you're paying a lot for a tabletop game above and beyond what average tabletop games are going for at the time, it's typically because of the artwork. And here's the thing, artists deserve to be paid, especially when they're creating individual card artwork. So more power to the artists. That being said, the vast majority, if not all of this artwork, it was like royalty-free stuff that they pulled off the internet. And it looks like it, and it feels like a production and artwork that would have come from like a first-time designer without a company backing.
Right.
And it hurts the game, honestly. It just really hurts the game. So it's still an excellent game, as Anthony mentioned, in all different aspects, despite all those things. Like, it doesn't drag it down to a play or a dodge or a burn, but at the same time, it really diminishes what should be a modern day classic. Again, if this game was polished to the nth degree, just the base game, forget about all the extra plastic that they now sell, it certainly could have jumped up like Brass Birmingham, because it has everything that you need and want. And as we talked about in a previous episode, it is one of the games that everybody owns.
Yeah.
So, great game.
All right. So next up we're going to run through the expansions.
Yes.
So we'll just kind of semi-rapid fire these, just kind of run through and give our thoughts.
100%.
Because we do have a lot of thoughts coming from the listeners as well we want to get to. So first up, we have the Hellas and Elysium expansion. This was a new board, double-sided, 2 new maps. Gives us 3 total maps. The new maps also had then new milestones and new awards. Get a little bit different direction in the game, but that was it. No new components or anything. For me, I picked it up. I use it. I do cycle through the maps. I could play without them. I don't really care. I think when I got it originally, I'm like, this is a buy. You have to have more maps. And now, 7 years later, I'm like, it's a play. I don't really care which map I use anymore.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter. And when we pull the game out as a group, it's always just like, which map? And everybody's like, I don't care. Just pick one.
Yeah, just do the base game app. We don't really.
It doesn't matter. It doesn't actually change the game that much because most of the gameplay's in the cards.
Yeah. I agree with everything you said. It's good to have. It's not an essential kind of expansion. And like you said, the game is in the cards, so I never felt like the board was burnt out.
Yeah.
That being said, there are better places to place on the board if you don't get there early. sorry.
Yeah.
So
For
yeah.
sure.
So yeah,
Uh,
it's up there. It's fine. It's a good expansion.
yeah. I gave like a 7.5 or
I
8 or
got
something. I
mine
don't
a
remember.
7.5.
Yeah. Next up is the Venus expansion, which I was very excited about. Like, oh my gosh, we're getting new mechanics in Terraforming Mars. Oh my gosh, we're doing it. And then I dumped everything in. I played with it several times because I'm like, this is the new content. I have to play with it. And I wish it was more quickly, but soon enough realized like this makes the game worse in almost every way. It waters down the deck.
Yeah.
It's almost impossible to run a Venus tag
Yes.
or a floater solution,
Floaters.
like a strategy. Like you would never take a floater card because you never know if you're going to get enough of them to actually do anything with.
Yeah.
Animals, sure, there's a lot of those cards. The floaters are just not enough.
Yeah.
It's a guaranteed removal. It's set off to the side in the box. Every now and then someone insists on playing with it, and I'm like, I hate you.
Yeah.
But it went from me like I own it and I played it, and then I was like, I'll avoid it, and now I'm like, please throw it into the sun. It is like, to me, the burn expansion, because it just makes across the board, it makes the game worse. Not even longer, because it's optional to terraform Venus. It just makes the game worse. It plays worse.
Yeah, ironically, it's one of those expansions, as you said, made the game worse, and it created a problem it created a bigger problem of a problem that it always was, is that the deck is just too big, and it does not address that. And then I don't know if it's this expansion, Anthony, where it's like, is it this one where if you have the floaters corporation, then it lets you go through like 20 cards in the deck or something to pull some of the cards
I don't
out.
remember if it's this one or a later one, because almost every expansion has tried to fix this one. You're constantly getting new cards and new expansions. Like Prelude 2, the whole purpose of that expansion is to fix Venus.
Terrible.
Like half the cards in it are just like, here's how to make Venus better. I'm like, just give it up, guys.
It's
You've
done.
made
It's
a bad
bad.
thing.
It's bad. Everyone should get their money back on this one.
Yes, it's so bad. So same rating?
I gave it a 6.5, and I was being incredibly generous. I own it, and I'm being incredibly generous. I don't play with it. I own it. I don't play with it.
Yeah, it's same. I still have it, but I gave it a 5. So, all right. Next up, we have the best expansion, the one you should play with, the essential one, Prelude. This is what the game should have had to start with, and now it's become a joke that every game gets a Prelude expansion, right? Like we talked a couple weeks ago about SETI getting its Prelude expansion.
It's shorthand now.
Lost Ruins of Arnak got a Prelude expansion. Yeah. It's a way to speed up a game at the beginning when it drags by giving you a bunch of stuff, right? Here's a bunch of things to start the game with. Here's a bunch of ways to kind of put you out. Adds asymmetry, gets the game moving. Prelude, for me, is a 10 out of 10 expansion. It's perfect. It does what it needs to do. It's small, just a bunch of cards. Every expansion has added more of them. Just gets the game moving.
It's a 9 out of 10 for me, just because it weirdly fixes Terraforming Mars so well that I'm mad about it. Because it should never been necessary.
No.
Because again, one of the downsides of Terraforming Mars is either if you don't draft or just by chance, you might get a hand of cards that you just can't play. Or maybe you could play one card and then just sit there for 4 rounds until you can make enough money to come back and play a second card. Yeah. So this takes care of that. When you get those 2 Prelude cards in your hand that just gives you stuff, you're just like, I'm excited now.
It is like one of my favorite things in gaming to get handed 4 Prelude cards, 2 corporations, and 10 player cards, and try to combo together. Like, what's the best combo of these things? That's a really fun way to start a game.
Yeah, so it's a 9 for me, but it's essential. There's no other. I don't even know if there's another expansion on the planet that's more essential than Prelude.
Yeah. All right, next up we have the Colonies expansion. So this adds a new mechanic to the game where you are building these ships and you're sending them out to the colonies in the asteroid belts. And you get bonuses for doing that. And if you build a colony and someone else goes there, you get a bonus for that. It's not the worst expansion. It does some interesting things. The problem I have with it is it just makes the game longer.
Yeah.
So it's a play for me, but only with the right group of people. And I don't play it. I don't offer it out unless someone really wants to bring it out.
for me, it's a complete waste of an expansion. It has promise to it. It's just as you mentioned, it just takes a lot longer. And it's like, oh cool, there's this other places you can go to get resources. And then it just eats up time.
It eats up time because it's really expensive to
Yeah.
do it. You have to spend a bunch of money or energy, and that's just time that you're not terraforming the planet. I like it in the solo game because you really don't do it very often, and you do it strategically, and usually only if you have an energy engine.
Mm-hmm.
But in a multiplayer game, it just adds so much time.
It does.
Not a fan.
It's again, I've played it. I'm not sure if I own it off the top of my head, but I think I do. But it's something I won't play with, honestly.
Yeah.
Again, it's in theory it should be good. In practice, it's bad.
Yeah. All right. Next up, we have the last big expansion that's come out for Terraforming Mars, Turmoil. This adds like a government element to it, where you are voting on various things and sending people out to this assembly, and you also have the Turmoil cards, which make bad things happen. And they suck, right? Yeah. That's like the one part of Terraforming Mars nobody likes is when somebody throws an asteroid at plants. So let's do it to everybody.
Let's have a whole expansion that just does that.
Yeah, it's great. This is my least favorite expansion after Venus. And I actually think it's worse than Venus.
It's worse than Venus.
But it's not quite as game breaking, and it didn't come out at a time when we were hungry for more content. Mm-hmm. So you get this one in, you play it once, you're like, oh no, this is bad.
It's bad.
You just put it aside.
Yeah, this is I think this is my least favorite expansion. And I think whereas Colonies is just adds more time for no particular reason, this is an actively bad expansion. And I rate this a 4. That's how much I hate this one.
That's funny. I gave it a 6.
No, it's it's also the idea of the political thing that you kind of have to play into. Yeah. Again, I came to terraform Mars. That's what the game is.
It's like some Phantom Menace nonsense where you're like, give me the lightsabers. They're like, or political machinations. You're like, no, lightsabers.
What part of terraforming Mars do you people do not get?
Yeah. It's bad. About a month or so after this game came out, I had a friend who like, we're going to play a full game with 5 people and all the expansions. And I was like, are you feeding me?
That's right.
He's like, yes, I'm buying dinner. I'm like, awesome, I'll be there. It took 8 hours.
Oh my God.
It was the worst. I'm like, Terraforming Mars is not Twilight Imperium, guys.
No.
I'm never doing this again. And that's the last time I played Colonies. I played it once by myself, or Turmoil. I played it once by myself. I played it once with them. And I'm like, cool, never again.
No, the political voting thing is unnecessary. It doesn't add anything to the game. Lengthens the game significantly. The negative attack cards are not fun.
No, I hate them.
And I'm not a player that doesn't like. I will play games like Take That. Have Take That in games. It just doesn't make sense here. And even the event cards that you have in Terraforming Mars, you hate them, but you see them once in a while. And thematically, it kind of makes sense. This deck is all about messing with other people, and I'm already. This game takes too long to begin with. I just don't.
No, they're trying to like throw in dominant species into the mix, and you're like, no, that's not what this game is.
Not good, people.
No. Bad
expansion.
Real quick mention for Prelude 2. Neither one of us played with it. It seemed superfluous. It had weird AI artwork, so meh.
Yeah. It tries to fix the expansions, which are not good.
Yeah.
Let it die, my friend. Just let it die.
It's crazy to me that you built this game and it has so much good going for it, and you made 5 expansions and one of them is good.
And really, the expansion is to fix the base game.
Yeah. It just fixes a fundamental component.
Oh, man.
But it's so good that it's now like a adjective to describe gaming.
Yes.
Oh, it's the Prelude expansion.
Yay.
Yeah.
The rest of them are bad, but Prelude's good.
Yay. All right, so that's Terraforming Mars, our love-hate relationship with it, given a little background. Mm-hmm. Also wanted to touch base on Ares Expedition, because you have mentioned several dozen times that you like this one more than the base game at this point.
This has replaced Terraforming Mars for me. I still love Terraforming Mars, but this for me is a better version of Terraforming Mars. And the interactions that you get to do because you are terraforming Mars together are a lot more dynamic and a lot more interesting, because like keeping up with the other companies. Like, you do feel like you're, again, it's when you try to do this co-op / competitive kind of thing, it's usually nonsense and it really doesn't work. But with the Race for the Galaxy mechanic, if I am interacting with Mars in such a way that, let's say I'm bringing an ocean, I'm bringing water or whatever, or I'm creating water on the planet. By my doing that, it would give other people opportunity to do something similar to that. So it kind of makes sense thematically. And again, you're not running into the problem where someone's just, building up little cubes on their sideboard and not terraforming the planet.
Right.
So just dynamically, thematically, I think it plays a little bit better. It doesn't have the wild swings of Terraforming Mars, and maybe if you're looking for wilder swings or a game's better, this is a little more tight across the game.
Right. I've only played this one a couple times. I liked it fine. It didn't really jump out at me. That's not to say it's not great. I just really love the board game, but I do have all the stuff for it, so I liked it enough to back it twice. And as we were talking about it before recording, I'm like, oh, I got to get this back out and play like with the Crisis expansion, the co-op mode. That seems cool.
Yeah, there's the Foundation expansion, the Crisis expansion, and Discovery expansion. So
yeah, good stuff.
Co-op. So I should take it the other way. 5 or 6 player expansion, co-op expansion, and then more goals and wild tags and more corporations. So all good stuff. And no bad stuff in there. No bad expansions.
Right. All right. So yeah, I don't have a ton to add to that. Next up we have the dice game.
Yes.
This one came out a couple years ago. You and I got a chance to play this at Gen Con.
We did.
2 years ago. Played it 2 or 3 times.
When it rolled out.
I think. Yeah. You did it.
I did a thing.
It was a lot of fun. I backed this one. I have it. It was relatively inexpensive. There's no expansions for it. It is not better than either of those other games. It's very much its own thing. It's very simple, but it's fun. It's 50 rounds-ish of just rolling dice and building up a pool of dice and spending them to buy cards. Very light, very simple. To the point of being a little samey after you played it a few times, but I enjoy it. I
think you need to play it twice. Once just to see how the dynamics play out. Yeah. And then the second time, now you know what you need to roll and what dice you need.
Sure.
And then once that happens, I think you have a good time with it. But if this would have came out first, it would have owned its own place. But like you said, Anthony, like the bigger siblings kind of own that space. So it's a nice game. It's not bad. It's just, it's been done better in other formats, and it's hard to kind of ignore.
Right. All right. There you go. The whole Terraforming Mars family from our perspective.
Don't forget about the RPG, because everybody else did.
Yeah. I still forgot about it.
You did again.
Oh, man. Yeah. You're like, oh, they should make an RPG. And I'm like, oh, they should do that. And like, wait a second. Did they do it?
They did.
Yeah, it was on Backer Kit like 3 months ago.
Yeah. Nobody talked about it. It looks pretty extensive. Nope. Like there's like legitimately a lot of content with it.
Yeah, it has real artwork for once.
Amazing.
They invested some money in it. It's crazy.
They did. So if you want to check that out, and you didn't back it because you didn't know that it was on Backer Kit, because you forgot Backer Kit was a thing. Eventually, this will get out to retail.
Yeah.
I don't know why you would want to play a Terraforming Mars RPG, but you can now.
Yeah.
They had worse ideas, clearly, previously.
I bought the Root RPG, and I'm like, I have it because it's a cool little book and it's fun to look at, but I'm like, I still can't imagine. I'm like, what am I doing in this world? Who am I? Why am I playing
You're
this?
An adorable little animal trying to take over the forest, man.
Yeah.
But like on Terraforming Mars, like it's a planet of like red dust. I don't know.
You're just some guy. You're just doing a thing on some. And then I was wondering about this too. Like, Terraforming Mars is not a game of weeks or months or even years. It's a game of decades and centuries. Yeah. So are you playing the corporation? Are you playing multiple people? Like, how does it... I guess I shouldn't... It obviously has a way that it works. So
does it, though? Does it?
They wrote 7 books.
Well, you said that about the expansions, and they don't work.
Oh, yeah.
You'll need a Prelude expansion for the RPG, clearly.
Yeah.
But it's a thing.
Yes.
So,
Yeah, it exists.
rejoice, people. It's a thing.
Yeah, have fun with
There
it.
you go.
We won't.
Anthony, we can't go any further until we hear from the voice of the people.
Voice of the gamer, activate.
Go for it.
All right. So we asked all of you to write in with your thoughts and feelings and takes and hot takes about Terraforming Mars. So we have a bunch of stuff, including some fun stories that we're going to share. Not going to, like, if you wrote in one of these longer pieces, I just want to say thank you. I really appreciate your time. It's amazing. And I've really enjoyed reading them. I don't know that I have the elocution to read something so long here. So I'm definitely going to do my best. But we've got a lot of really good stuff.
But people
so
could go online and get those.
They could. They are all posted online. So check those out. So let's get into this. We have some opinions here. Chris writes in and says, Chris Stegner.
Oh, okay.
Backer on Facebook. Thanks, Chris. It says, gotta play with everything mixed in, but pulling out the stuff that has to do with the governing part of turmoil.
There you go.
So Chris is of the opinion that everything is fine except for turmoil.
Somebody needs to check on Chris and see if he's okay.
Yeah, that's a lot of cards.
That's a lot. Chris, how high is that stack in your house right now?
Right, you got colonies and Venus in there. That's
ironically, you can tell that Chris can't answer us because that stack of cards fell on him and he can't move.
Oh no,
Chris, blink. Give us some blink, Chris. Let us know. Are you okay?
Press the life alert. It's okay. I followed and I can't get up. Cards. Enoch says, not a fan of TM at first, much preferring Underwater Cities as my engine building, tableau building game. But after a friend got the big box with everything, and after playing it both on the table and on BGA, I've come around to appreciating it.
Oh, very nice.
So they expand a little bit on this, saying the cards come out kind of random, as is typical in tableau deck building games. But you make do with them, and generally it's a good time. I think more games should take a cue from Underwater Cities, still my preferred and one of my top games, and have deck eras or stages. Early deck for building up, late deck for scoring points, and mid deck is a blend of the two. Yes. Yeah, we didn't mention this in our kind of review recap, but this is something we've been saying for 5 years. Like, give us Terraforming Mars with the cards broken down into eras to just manage that deck nonsense.
Yeah, I think that's certainly the way to go. But it's got to be a Seven Wonders mechanic moving forward from
here. Yeah. Underwater Cities is the best because it does that so well. You know, and that's what Enoch is saying. So thank you, Enoch, for writing in and saying that, because we both agree.
100%. Well played.
Yes.
Someone please continue to check on Chris.
His cards are moving. Weather But in Space says, this might be controversial, but I find Terraforming Mars to be long.
Whoa.
I've only played it in person a handful of times, but mostly because it frequently pushes 3 hours.
Nice.
Yeah. Agreed. It is often very long. This is the thing, like I said, 60% of my plays are by myself. And so I can play the game in about 45 minutes, and it's perfect. And every time I sit down and play with someone else, I'm like, why is it still going? It's too long. Especially now with the big box, which is pretty and has lots of nice stuff, but it takes longer to set it up and manage it.
We didn't mention, which I don't think we have to, but the big box of plastic that you could also purchase.
Yep, that's what I was just talking about there.
But like, that's another thing that Chris is probably trapped under right now. And
oh my gosh,
Chris is trapped under a lot of things. He needs a lot of help at this point.
Yeah, it's too many boxes. Original Maverick said in response to Weather But in Space, I've only played it a handful of times now and only with Prelude, but I've heard it cuts down significantly. I know our experiences aren't 1-to-1, but if it took you 3 hours, I would say that it might have saved 40-ish minutes, question mark. Overall, I think Ares Expedition is... I prefer Ares Expedition as it is much shorter, but all in all, I've enjoyed my Terraforming Mars plays.
Nice.
So, yeah, Prelude. Use Prelude. I don't know if it cuts off quite 40 minutes, but it definitely cuts down like the first 2 rounds or so.
It adds so much more fun to the game.
Yeah. I know it cuts off a lot because when you play solo, it's 14 generations that you have to terraform the planet by yourself. If you play with Prelude, it goes down to 12.
Oh, wow.
They just cut off 2 because they're like, you got to jump start here. You're already in two full rounds. Underwater Cities is the same. Like you basically lose, like you with the expansion stuff. It just like cuts everything forward a little bit. You lose like a whole round.
Yeah.
Um,
The the
so
ability to pull together, I think you mentioned the prelude cards, the corporation, and the initial 10 cards
mhm.
makes up for that.
Yeah, because you could just get a big jump
Yeah.
start. All right. Now we got more feedback here. The Fifth Meeple board game podcast on Blue Sky, the Fifth Meeple Pod, bsky.social. I tried Terraforming Mars early in my board game career and hated it.
Oh no.
I felt baffled every time I played.
Makes sense.
Six years later, I tried it again and now I love
Oh
it.
wow.
So that came around. It was a good lesson not to write off a game completely, but also not to introduce someone to a game they're not ready for.
True.
I have definitely played this game with people that should not have played it. Like, it was too early in their gaming career to play a game like this, because it's not actually that complicated, but it's so much to process.
It is.
Like, mechanically, it's a medium-ish game, but content-wise, there's so much there.
It certainly is that game where it feels like it makes sense, but it almost always can go wrong almost immediately.
Right.
Because if you don't like get the big picture of the cards together, or if you get something in your head of like, I'm going to build cities, and then like 5 minutes later the game's over. You're just like, I built a city.
Yeah. It's really hard to see
You don't
at the start of the game what you should be doing.
100%. Yeah, makes a lot of sense.
The guide late game.
Yeah, it's another game with a gigantic deck of cards, and if you don't know that, I mean, you're going to have a bad time, I think, almost initially.
Right. There's nuances to it too. Like, you're like, I'm building up heat production. Great. At a certain point in the game, you need to stop doing that, because you're going to not be having anything to do with it.
Yeah, a lot of the game is a cost benefit analysis. Like, how much do I, like you said with the heat, how much do you invest in production, knowing that there might only be 2 more or 3 more rounds left?
Right.
So,
yeah, exactly. It might, sometimes it's worth it just to leave it something alone completely. Like, you know what? I'm done with that. You guys do it. I'm going to go over here and do this.
Agreed.
All right. Original Maverick, who also just mentioned that, playing with Ares Expedition is their favorite, says, I played Terraforming Mars for the first time in person a few weekends ago. Prelude was included. I was happy to cross it off my gamer bucket list. I had played the card game a number of times before, and I found that made for an easier transition. I found the game, even with Prelude, was still fairly long, but I think that is probably a bias towards the card game on my end. I could see that if you played the card game first.
Yes.
Played Ares Expedition, then you played the board game, you're like, why is this so long?
It's true.
Mentions playing it on BGA as well and enjoying that. Finding it easier to keep track of what was going on with other players as well. I also could see that. At a big table with 5 people, it's really hard to see what everybody else is doing. You just see them over there fidgeting with their cards. You're like, what you doing, guy?
Having a problem over there?
Buy something? Is it my turn yet? What's going on?
Yeah.
They do mention some strategy thoughts. Coming out of both games, I get the sense that early plant production is a strong strategy. Both times I went for credit production, which was enjoyable, but I don't think I used it to its potential. I assume you want to lean into city production. The plant leader was setting up for a high victory point scoring city that I took from under him, but he was also able to take some milestones away from me. I think I prefer the card game more than the original, but those jockeying moments do make me reconsider. Either way, I'm happy to play both versions. So, just some thoughts there on how it plays.
Agreed.
I do think there's no like one set strategy that makes the most sense early on. It really just depends what everybody's doing.
Yeah, plants are hard to build up. So
the more players there are, the harder they are to build up.
Yeah, there's a bunch of spots you could pick up plants on the board, but you really need a plant engine if you're planning on scoring points on the board, because that's how you score points for your cities.
Yeah, and I'd only go plants if I have a plant corporation and at least 2 cards in my starting hand that could give me plant production. If I can't start the game with 3 or 4 plant production, I'm like, it's not, because someone will just bomb it.
Yeah,
they're like, oh, you have 7 plants to start the game. Boom, they're gone.
Yeah,
now. I'm like,
it's true.
Cool, thanks, guy.
That's true. Those are expensive cards to play, though. To be fair,
they are, but they give you a lot of benefits, and they just happen to burn plants in the process. Like, they're not strictly take that cards. No. They're like, oh, I get 4 movements on the terraforming track.
And temperature.
Everything goes up, and you also lose some plants. So yay me.
Yeah, the problem. If you
Like, I don't get to take an action next round, but it was still
if
fun.
you have plants, kids, plant them quick before anyone knows.
It's quick. Get to 8 as fast as you can and get those out
Yeah,
there.
that's the first action you take each turn. Is always put out your forest.
Yes, yes. All right, so we have a couple more people who wrote in with some epic responses. I'm share the highlights. So Tim on the
Hey
Patreon,
Tim.
he says, Tim, thank you so much for backing. Tim's awesome. Terraforming Mars, a top 5 game for me. We'll happily pull it off the shelf and play it with those who already know it, but definitely a game with some memories. So Tim talks about learning the game for the first time at Origins with 2 gentlemen who had the game already set up and were looking for players. It was a friendly experience and just discovering what the game is all about being relative value. Every card has a price to play. Every card gives you something, but to a new player, it was a bit overwhelming, which is what we were just talking about. Of the game is complicated because there are so many nuanced elements to it, and there's no way to know what the value of something is when you haven't played it before.
I agree.
He mentions asking them and then repeating. Sometimes it's good, sometimes it's not.
Yeah, it's true.
Yeah, which is totally what it is. Like, yeah, that card's really useful in this particular situation. Every other situation, it's bad. Like, oh, discounts on Earth cards. Well, that could be great if you have a bunch of Earth cards and it's early,
True.
but later in the game, not so much.
That's a big problem with the game.
Yeah, that is a huge problem we haven't really touched on. Is you could have a handful of cards that are useless.
Like you literally
the
can't play them.
Yes. Yeah, and it can happen any time in the game. You could have late game cards early, and you could have early game cards late. It's frustrating. Yep. Tim mentions playing the digital version, specifically during pandemic. So, getting a chance to play digital Terraforming Mars, and that one was the app, right? Which is not the best digital version, I don't think. I think Board Game Arena is still the better version.
Yes,
because it looks like the game.
True.
Like, it's not hiding all your cards from you like the app.
The app is bad.
Yeah, app is bad. Tid mentions teaching the family. I was excited. They were willing. 4 hours later, we finished the game. Lesson: listen to Chris and Anthony. Never play without Prelude.
This is what I'm saying, Tim.
It's not too much for new players. It keeps them deciding the game is way too long.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm sorry you learned that way.
I mean, if you're going to play a long game, whatever the game may be, and again, length is dependent on the person.
Right.
Playing Prelude, like Anthony mentioned earlier, by being able to kind of like put together those combinations, makes you feel like you have some ownership, like the corporation's real. Like you have a real plant corporation with a bunch of plant cards, and you get to enjoy that dynamic regardless of whether you win or not. That dynamic is like, awesome.
Yeah, 100%. All right, and Tim's last point here: Ares Expedition takes one of my favorite games and messes with it. I was skeptical, and during my first player, all I could think was, this is not the same. But on subsequent plays, including teaching another friend who was relatively new to gaming, this might be the way to play the game. Hard to abandon the original greatness, but Ares Expedition may give much of the same combo building goodness in a shorter playtime. And it's now another treasured memory from Origins. Sitting at a table, enjoying a fine game with a good friend, with all the world's cares fading to the background. In the end, this is why I love board gaming, and especially this game. For all its flaws, Terraforming Mars, in all of its iterations, takes me to another place.
Nice.
Well said, Tim. All right, and so we have one final entry here. And this is from listener Uriel in France. And apologies, Uriel. I probably won't read the entire thing here because it is about 3 pages long, which is amazing. It's a really great story. So I'm going to summarize a little. But Uriel talks about playing games with his son, and specifically how he's been playing games with his son since he was very little, and how his son has been able to play like these much more complicated games for a long time. So his son is 7, and he loves board games, always has. When he was a baby, he would come over and try to play with, Uriel and his older child. And long story short, he's now 7 going on 8, and he's played the most complex games in my collection. He's even won some of them, even though I never let him. And a bit more bragging there about all the games that his son plays, which is amazing. I wish I could get my kids to play some of these games. But he talks about playing Terraforming Mars and first time playing that with his son. So the first thing that struck me as I was setting the game was how quick and easy the setup was for a game of this weight. Even playing with Prelude, I don't own any expansions except Prelude, because for me that is actually the base game.
Yes.
Correct, Uriel. It's extremely simple compared with games like Arc, Nova, or SETI. The teach was not too long either, because he's already familiar with drafting from games like Sushi Go, and he's already familiar with badges from games like Arc Nova and Mosaic. He did a good job with the engine building aspect, better than me, arguably, while I was setting the board, and his good engine allowed him to nearly catch up with me in the end. But he overlooked the objectives, and I snatched all 3 of them early. Brutal, Uriel.
Well done.
Take all the objectives.
Well done.
I really think it's my experience that made the difference in the end. I played a lot of games on the app and on BGA, but I'm proud of him, obviously, and he really liked the game. Now he wants to try Ares Expedition, but that'll be for another episode, maybe. So, yeah, just a lot of great memories. And I love how many people wrote in about playing with the family, too, because it is one of those games that if once you can get over that initial hump of getting a sense of how the game flows and what things are worth, it's not that complicated. Like, your decision space is relatively narrow. It's the cards in your hand. What can you do with them? And that's it. And I do think that lends itself well to playing with the family, as long as they're up for longer games. That's obviously a big caveat. Sure. But yeah, it's been great to hear these stories. There you have it, folks. Terraforming Mars. What we say, what you say. Appreciate everybody who wrote in. It was a lot of fun.
What we all say.
What we all say. So say we all.
Say we all. Excellent. Again, great game. A lot of you also, again, as Anthony said, just great memories, great gameplay, and some problematic expansions don't take away from the luster that is Terraforming.
Yes.
So, until next time, this is Chris.
And this is Anthony.
And we'll save you all a seat at Terraforming Mars. Take care, everybody.
Bye.
Prelude!
For life.
Hey there, Hugh from Podderation here, and if you like today's show, why not have a listen to the All Things Nintendo podcast? Hosted by Brian Shea, former director and Game Informer and lifelong games journalist, the show explores the ins and outs of gaming's oldest company and one of its biggest, featuring interviews, featuring reviews, featuring everything you want to know about the world of Nintendo. If you'd like to learn more, check out our website at podderation.com.